What's up, friends of the YouTube nether sphere? My name is Brain Smasher, and it's time for a vinyl only, actually, there's one item that is not vinyl, collection update. I'm gonna show off some records. First offhand though, RIP to my buddy Justin Bartlett. He passed away this last week. I'm happy that he is at peace and not suffering from colon cancer after 2 years of fighting that shit. His store is still going to be open to help raise funds for his funeral. So if you feel like picking up some Uber Cult merchandise, I'll leave a link down below for you to do that. First item of the collection that has come into my world is this little cute animal. Can you believe this? Look at this thing. So we don't have a name for her yet, but she arrived in our garage, freezing cold in our yard. So we rescued her and quickly become a fan. We don't have a name yet. I know you're gonna ask. So she may be distracting me in the video. Background, jams. This is NonStero and I've been freaking out about these projects. More recent album, Moonlight, Realm, Gate, Castle, something like that. This is, I believe, the first full length, Ultimul Regi. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sure I'm not. Haven't spun this yet, so I just kind of threw it on in the back. So far, it's absolutely ripping. Kind of love it. So, I think just 10 LPs. Lots of great shit here. I hope you stick around and like this. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know why you would be watching this and not subscribing, but please do so. Click subscribe. You will be notified when I make more videos, and you will like that. And so will I. Thank you. So, you are probably familiar with Morbid Angel, a young death metal supergroup out of Florida, and their second album, 1991's seminal, Blessed Are the Sick. So I don't know, I was just, I've been just kind of like thinking, man, Morbid Angel's always been one of my favorite bands. But I don't really listen to them as much as I wish I did. I feel like that's an ongoing theme, right? But I've had Ultras of Madness, an OG press. In fact, I think it's up on the wall there, for a couple of years now, and it's like a gem in my collection. And an original pressing of Domination too. But like in between, didn't have anything. In fact, Covenant is my favorite Morbid Angel album. So I wanted to fill those two holes. Here, Covenant next. But this is a earache pressing. You got a year on you, young man. I don't know. Maybe 2015, 17, something like that. But yeah, love it. Probably my least listened to of the first four Morbid Angel albums. But having gotten this on vinyl and spinning it, I was just like, you know what? I fucking know a lot of these songs. The songs are fucking great. This is not, I don't know. I think a lot of people think of the first four as like, this is maybe the least good. I don't know. There's no value in like, you know, ascertaining that, quantifying that goodness. But this is a great fucking record. This is one of the best death metal bands there ever was. So Yeah, you know this. This is a 10 out of 10. There may be about 2 riffs or parts on here that I think are kind of dumb, but this fucking album has made its way into my heart and never left. I absolutely love Covenant. And so do you. I know you do. I was bitching about on the Christmas stream that pressings of this were really expensive and hard to find. Either I was wrong or wasn't looking close enough to try and find a copy of this, but I spent like 45 bucks on this thing or so. It does need a repress, a more recent repress. It needs to stay in print continually because it's one of the greatest records of all time. But yeah, happy to have it into my pile of garbage now. Trying to keep this kitten in order. Yeah. You're adorable. Next, we've got Morbific with Squirm Beyond the Mortal Realm. Hey, I remembered a thing. How about that? With their sophomore release, Young Finsters. Absolutely old school death metal. Exactly the way it ought to be. I think this album, for a lot of people, suffered a little bit from just not being as fucking godly as their debut was. And how do you follow up with, you know, something like that? It's not very different from the debut. There's no reason to really think that. I need to spend some more time with it. I've listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times. And just thought, yeah, this is the Morbific. But honestly, like, I wasn't done listening to the debut on repeat. That thing is fucking godly. Those guys just did an amazing job on their debut. So I feel like I might just go back to the debut a little bit more and like burn myself out on that and then follow it up with this so that I'm like more in the mood to have some new Morbific. Anyways, but like pressings of this sold out in the US right away, so I wound up I was like, I don't want to miss out, so I wound up getting one from Misako Un Oho. Here is an old gem, one of my favorite doom metal releases of all time, The Mournful of Creation by Mournful Congregation. This is a Paniac pressing of this wonderful funeral doom release. God, this album rules. This is actually kind of a valuable pressing. My buddy gave this to me a couple of weeks ago, and I will cherish it forever, and I love it. This stuff this band just took doom to such a more elaborate and illustrious, melodic and just emotionally draining place compared to where Funeral Doom was before. I always kind of felt like Funeral Doom was vacuous and gray and foggy and empty, and that really resonated with me. But this band manages to kind of do all of those things, but fill it with lush harmonization that is sweet and alluring, and it kind of has an emotional depth to it, more for me than a lot of other Funeral Doom bands. And this is my favorite album of theirs, Mournful of Creation, from, let's see, 2000 and whatever, look it up. On a completely different end of the spectrum, this was one of Eric Bauer's top picks in his year-end mega stream that we all did on the Heavy Metallurgy channel. And I saw the pressing of it, the vinyl pressing of it. I was like, I've got to have that thing. This is Atomic Witch with Crypt of Sleepless Malice. I kind of can't believe that I'm buying an album by a band with witch in the name. It's kind of a cliche thing, but this thing is a godly ripper. The way I guess I best described it is like, they're a thrashy kind of death metal band, like way more thrashy than death metal, but their their momentum and intensity and vigor is that of the most brutal death metal band there is. It's just so energetic and fast, and they are able to just throw so much power into these songs. It's just like going down a roller coaster with your fucking face first. It's nuts. I love it. Vocally, this guy is really belting out some character. It's been a long time since I heard like a thrashy album where the singer was like really being a singer and like belting out a ton of personality. He's got a lot of like kind of quick, raspy kind of things like you would expect a thrash singer to do. But then he's got these flourishes of like falsetto singing that are really, really killer. Adds accents to the cool parts and memorable choruses here and there. This thing has a ton of things to offer. It's just great. Oh, by the way, I should show you the gorgeous pressing. This came out on Redefining Darkness. Yeah. And that cover art, killer. Look at that. Look at that thing. Gorgeous. So yeah, check this thing out. Just from the second you hit play on this album, you will just be like, holy shit. There's a insert in here. There's the guys. Yeah, I was blown away by this. I think this is their debut. I want to say they're from Midwest, Indiana, Ohio, something like that. There's a lot of stuff coming out of that area these days, Ohio especially. This is out of Nashville, Tennessee, I want to say. Not sure. This band's been getting a lot of attention, most of it negatively. They've been a memey band from what I've seen. I went into it knowing absolutely nothing about them. I caught them live a couple of months ago and they were great. So I picked up their LP, which was sold out at the time. It got repressed recently and is available now again. This is Saidan with, is it Kissed? No, Onryo 2, Her Spirit Eternal. So band's getting a lot of hate because uppity black metal people are sensitive and can't take new things incorporated in with their black metal. So this is, at a glance, not a whole lot different from your typical speedy melodic, I don't know, Lamp of Murmur-ish kind of black metal. The melodies are great, the harmonies are great, the guitar work is really, really well thought out, but like stylistically, there's some noticeable differences, and I think this is where everybody kind of loses their fucking shit, is that I think they're kind of incorporating some like Japanese J-pop kind of, I don't know, anime music kind of things. Now I know like 99% of you are just going, fuck this thing, I don't want to hear it. And I would probably be in the same boat had I not just like seen them live first. And like I wasn't told that gimmick, I guess, if you will, for lack of a better term, ahead of time. And I was seeing them live and just understanding, I was like, this is weirdly familiar and kind of like a, I don't know, there's no other way around it. It's like some J-pop kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying they're fucking bouncing around on stage like girls and baby metal or whatever, but I've heard enough of that kind of stuff that there's kind of like this watertight perfection in songwriting that some Japanese like pop rock kind of stuff is known for, especially like in X-Japan. I'm a big fan of X-Japan. And so like there's kind of this like more overt attention to that kind of songwriting folded in with your like fast, speedy, melodic black metal. It's interesting, I think. I haven't spun this yet, but I've been playing it on Bandcamp for a little while. It's kind of a challenging thing for your black metal gatekeeping sort of crowd, but I hope a lot of you guys know that I'm all for stirring of the pot and making things weird and incorporating new ideas and challenging the norms of all of this stuff that we love. Anyways, it's cool. If that sounds interesting to you, if you're curious about it, check it out. There's links down below for all this stuff. This one you should be well familiar with. Demigod, Slumber, Soul Eyes. This album, so fucking good. I've been wanting to get my hands on one of these things forever. This cover art. Now that I have this in my hands, I've had a bootleg CD of it for a couple years. Now that I have this in my hands, I kind of can't believe that I didn't have one of my poster flags done of this, because there's just so much in here to just get lost in. There's so much going on here. I love it. This is just one of the most perfect death metal releases ever come out of Europe. I don't know, the sticker on the outside said like see-through flesh vinyl or whatever. I don't really see, it just looked like fucking peppermint pinwheels to me or whatever, but that's fine, whatever. Smart, if you're not aware, does a really, really great job of reissuing things and not being revisionist about how they go about it. There's a Succumb to Dark, an oral history of Demigod. Haven't gotten into that yet because I can't read. There's also a big poster. I'm kidding. I can kind of read. Huge poster of an alternate version of the cover, which I think is sort of awesome. God, am I gonna get fucking flagged by the YouTube cops? Whatever. This album, absolutely perfect. I should be doing my year-end list from last year, but whatever. I've kind of lost the muse, and I may get around to doing it, whatever. This is maybe my album of the year last year. I did an interview with these guys, and it turned out great. And I'm super proud of how this album turned out. Stangarigel with Nasivere. I'm probably pronouncing that right. Probably on the outro here. I gotta wrap it up here soon. If you're familiar with Malocarpitan, which you should be, they are a Latvian, I think, kind of thrashy black metal band. This is the more summoning Master's Hammer kind of leaning to their style. I think Malocarpitan is more than 2 people, and Stangarigel is just 2 of those guys. But this thing is amazing atmospheric black metal. They fold in a lot of interesting instrumentation to make it kind of like folky, pagan stuff. It rules. I love this record so much. I'm kind of surprised that more people weren't keen to this thing last year. Also thinking about getting a flag of this album cover. I love that little guy. It's kind of like a woodsy, anti-Santa Claus-y kind of dude. Also, I feel like I'm really happy that this came out on Nuclear War Now. Looks like a lot of people wound up picking this up. There's been a lot of hype around this. I've had the OG press of this on CD for years, and it just kind of got lost in my collection. It's one of those things, like, since enough time has passed since it was originally released, I think its value can now be really enjoyed again. But Thorns of Impurity, Lord Chaos. This is an Australian. This is insane. This is, oh, it's a cat. Look, it's a cat. Just utterly satanic black metal from Australia. And Nuclear War Now does a great job in their pressings. One of the records looked fucking amazing, and the other one is kind of like, meh, whatever. I'm not sure if you can see the subtlety in this, but there's kind of like some pinkish reds in there, which are gorgeous. This is the cutest thing. Are you the cutest thing? Yes, you are. Come here, come here. Anyways, I don't know. I've kind of got this confused with Dark Lords. Can't remember what the album's called because my mind is a puddle of kitten juice right now. But yeah, Lord Chaos rules. It's kind of symphonic. It's very cheesy. It's one of those late 90s, mid 90s black metal albums that couldn't really achieve what things like Emperor did. A lot of the Scandinavian bands. kind of perfected this kind of thing. But these guys relied heavily on a drum machine. So it didn't really catch on, and it kind of wound up being a lot cheesier, I guess, than something like this should have been. But that kind of thing, definitely my wheelhouse and has its charm. So pick this up. If it's not sold out, I think I want to say it was limited to like 200 copies or something. Not sure if there's another label doing like a European pressing of it or not, or Australia or whatever. Yeah, isn't Seance doing this in Australia? I'm not sure. You are licking my skin. Anyway, last album, you all know Sepultura, but I think this album kind of gets a lot of shit on it. But this is one of my first metal albums when I was a teenager. This was a gateway album for me, and I have never gotten around to picking up any Sepultura on vinyl until now. And my buddy was just getting rid of his copy of this, and I just had to snag it and give it a good home. This thing absolutely rules. It could be argued that this is definitely one of the proto, I don't know, new metal kind of things. Roots definitely is that, but Chaos AD, I guess, just kind of had a couple of those tiny roots starting here, but this thing just bangs. I love this record to death. In my senior year in high school, I had this tape in my car, and it was the only tape in my car for some reason, for a whole semester. I listened to this every single day. I know this album front to back, no question. And it still has its charm for me. For me, back then, it was really like, it was kind of exotic. South American, Brazilian metal band. I kind of liked the like tribalism that they started to incorporate into their style. Not that I really knew what they were before I heard this album. So my entry point into Sepultura was Roots. Burned through that album very quickly. And then Chaos AD, I spent a lot of time with that. And then around that time, I was getting into like Fear Factory, Carcass, At the Gates. Talk about this a lot. Avigor, Emperor, Cradle of Filth, etc. But then I heard Arise, Beneath the Remains, and I was like, holy shit. Thrashy, death metal, that kind of thing. I was like, that shit's too heavy for me. I can't take it. I actually really gravitated toward the more symphonic black metal kind of stuff. But this was it. This is where it all started for me. Yeah, Chaos AD. Check that stuff out. So that's it for me. Links down below. Hope you have a good one. Don't forget, pick up some Uber Cult merch to help them pay for their funeral expenses. And yeah, this is a Justin Bartlett shirt. He gave me this a couple years ago before he got all this stuff. So anyways, sorry to end that and start it on a bad note, but I hope you're all doing good and have a great everything. Bye-bye. Woohoo! That was a great video, and it was made possible mostly by me, but also thanks to the undying and kind support of my Patreon subscribers. Thank you all. I love you. If you are interested in being a part of my Patreon channel and supporting what I do, you are welcome to join at the URL below. It is only $6.66 per month, and you're going to love it. Thank you.